So last week, as many of you guys know, we put the model to the test and provided our in-depth information and full analysis on many different stocks and indexes. We have proven that our option pricing model can find definitive inflection points and find the tops and the bottoms of many different stocks. We have proven to find the top on QQQ, Tesla, and many different other stocks throughout the entire week. So today we're going to be giving you guys more information on our model. We're going to be sharing information about option premiums and give you a little bit about a recap on what happened today, because it's going to be indicative of what may happen in the future. So stay tuned for this and let's get started and get into this. So for today, we had a very successful trading day. I want to go over a little bit about our trades that we have taken in the room, because it's kind of important to highlight the context behind all the trades that we have taken. So pretty much we started off the room here, as always, giving our initial market reports. We discussed that PLTR news, Tesla gets an upgrade, why NVIDIA is down in semiconductors. They had issues with news from China, and that was also one of the key reasons why the Chinese stocks were moving today as well. What you can see here is that we had our bearish numbers over here. This is Mountain Standard Time, which is basically an hour before market opens, and you can see these are our bearish inflection points that you see right over here. Okay, now starting off throughout the day, we give our morning calls, so that's always something that we do 1 hour before the open, and we basically start seeing all these inflection points right off the bat. We do see that NVIDIA is weak. App basically was not added into the S&P 500, but we knew that it would be bearish and would break down. Okay, so we did have calls on this when we swinged it, but we made money on the calls on the first layer. Then we took a shot with profits, and that play didn't work out because the news didn't come in our favor. And that's one strategy that we constantly employ, is that we try to make sure that the first trade that we take gives us a strong opportunity of success. And once it does, then we could take that profit and roll it to the next one, because a news-based play is something you don't have control over. And this is exactly what we did with Microsoft as well. We bought this app 325 put here at 3.5 here. Okay, now we knew that this would work because at the open, this thing dumped really fast. So we had to chase it. Now, what happened over here is that we knew that it will break through our estimated weekly low, and it'll go to 348. It went a slightly lower and tested that 200-day, which I knew was another possibility. So that was a nice 100% plus winner. We decided to get BABA calls as well because China stocks were moving, and we gave this Chinese play as well, and that definitely was moving. So we placed an order to buy Amazon. The reason why we were looking into Amazon, and I gave this information free, is because this right here, within the first hour or so, it hit our inflection point 230 and it started to reject. Okay, so we gave this information, and you can see that the accuracy in our levels, it was provided on our for everyone to see, and you can see exactly that this is time stamped our level 1 bullish right over there, 230, and you guys can see the timestamp information over there. Okay, so that was the first inflection point that we've seen here, but I knew that this would hold because the premiums were very strong. So what we did is that we waited for the dip by placing an order. We didn't buy it off the bat. We waited for that to come to us, okay? Because we knew that rejection was gonna happen. We bought NVIDIA 145 calls at 68 cents, okay? The reason for this is because it hit our level 1 bearish inflection point, and as you guys can see, once they hit this bearish inflection point, this level held, and it pretty much bounced off again. So once again, this was accuracy in our model. This trade didn't fill, so we avoided that. We also placed an order to buy PLTR at 1. Okay, so PLTR, it pretty much filled right after we got pretty much at this point at around 71, 72. So those premiums held all day, and they actually went up very nice at one point around 30 to 40%. So those were looking very good. So in our mentorship program, we provide one-on-one sessions, and it has been one thing that's been very good for traders. Okay, so we sold those app puts for around 60%. They ended up going to 100%, and you can see PLTR is moving, Microsoft. We share all that information, and this is a tracker that we have in our room. So I do provide all my statements and levels, but I also like to show this tracker over here. Okay, the reason for this tracker that I provide here is because to go over the details behind every trade that you cannot really show in your statements. Okay, so I explained the setup in each of these here. Is it a news-based play? A news-based play is basically a trade where its outcome is dependent on the news event. It could be like, let's just say Microsoft has their Bitcoin related ETF event, and that's one reason why we're in. It could be something that we chased. It could be a pre-announced play where I give they call out before it happens, and when it fills, those are our high-level setups. And I also show here that everyone has a different risk tolerance, but the standard that we have in our mentorship room is that if the trade hits minimum 50%, then it's considered a good trade in my book. Sometimes I don't even sell those 50% winners, and Apple calls from last week is a perfect one where, you know, we had a very small size in there. It went to 120%, was a winner trade, but we didn't end up selling that because we had a higher degree of risk. So that was one of the key things that we were looking for as well. So we always highlight that detail here. And so far, if you are looking at based off that, 80% of our trades thus far have been hitting that minimum threshold, so that they are considered good trades that we are providing to our mentorship Discord. So we took those BABA calls earlier. We sold them for 31%. You know, just because China stocks are not so strong. Nvidia and PLTR we're still holding. Other plays that we've definitely scalped is we chased this 60-50 put at 1.63. Now, one thing about this put here is the reason why we got it is because if you guys look at our Twitter feed, we kind of mentioned that, you know, near the open, approximately around that time, that SPX was breaking down. It can see 60.56. Okay, so that was at our level 1 bullish zone here. So sorry, level 1 bearish. Once SPX broke our level 1 bearish right over here, it started to really drop really fast, and we managed to get that nice W with those 60 puts. We got the fill on the Amazon calls, and those Amazon calls were great because this was a scalp. We made another 80% off that play there. That was real nice, and you know, pretty much the movement in the market was mixed between money going in the big techs and some in China stocks, so it was a little bit all over the place, and banks were pretty much flat. Microsoft looked pretty strong here as well, but you know, the problem with Microsoft here as well is that I decided to sell around my level 1 bullish inflection point because it was a tough zone. The market wasn't moving perfectly. We had to swing for some time, so we took that 47% and we moved forward. Okay, Tesla was very strong at open, but pretty much it didn't hit our confirmation. They trend confirmation, and it pretty much dumped right at this number here. Now it's trading in the chop zone. So as we go on throughout the day, we sold our BABA calls. We took that 30%. Its premiums were pretty much not really strong, so that's why we didn't want to hold it. And I kind of discussed that as well, because if you look at the BABA premiums, you can see that it was really chop, and it's trading in a range. So I don't really like to see that, and usually China stocks are one-hit wonders. This is an idea how the heat map was today. It was pretty much very tight here, and our Amazon calls was a winner trade, 80%. We didn't sell it there. We actually wanted to hold a little bit higher, but we sold for 20% only because when we noticed that it started to go weaker, that it would have gone in the negative, and that was a great sell on Amazon because it was possible it could go to the downside. So Amazon was a nice play. We were looking for a breakthrough out of this zone here, didn't get through, but we sold at around 228 and took that 20% profit, even though up here it was around 80, so we lost a lot of premiums there. We gave these SPY puts, which also was in our free Discord as well, and they definitely went up more than 200%, just like our other SPX play that we had given here. So we bought this SPX, it got a fill because of the following reason here. So we pre-announced that SPX right over here where we placed 2 additional orders. Microsoft 450 calls. This didn't get the fill, but we got the fill for the 60.55, and this was meant to be a scalp. Okay, so this order was placed approximately 12 p.m. Eastern time. This is Mountain Standard Time that you guys see over here, and pretty much we got the fill as we go along. So where did I get that fill? So we got that fill pretty much a couple hours later. Let's look into it. So that SPX, we got that fill at around 2 o'clock near the end of the day, because when I was looking at these premiums, the 60.55 put here, the reason why I got it here is because when SPX hits my level 2, which you see over here, right, which I also mentioned on my Twitter, that it would see 60.56. Whenever my level 2 hits on SPX, that's when the trend is confirmed. Okay, so right over here, this confirms the trend, and when that hits, that means that every pop that hits is going to get sold off. Okay, so we waited for the market to show weaker premiums. We tried to look for the market when it hit the low of the day, so we were looking at that from the perspective of the low of the day, and we basically waited until at this particular point, this is when we got the fill on those 60.55 puts at 50 cents. Okay, so that was the perfect opportunity. And to show you guys the level of detail on our levels is that you guys can see that this is all time stamped. Okay, so level 2 bearish 60.56, we got a thumbs up right over there, which was before the market opened, and 60.56 bounced off there. We set it over here, and once it bounced, the crazy thing here is that we said at this time, you can see 11:54 a.m. SPX supposed to see loyalty confirm the downside trend. So that's how our model works. Downside trend is confirmed. We took those puts and we nailed 154%. Our trade was meant to be a scalp, but players that held that, they seen their puts go from 50 cents to $8. Okay, and we took this app 400 call lotto. We didn't sell it, but it definitely started to run, and it made it gave traders a amazing return where it went up like approximately 80%, and that's when it started to go. So definitely a great day for the market overall. And you know, the news came out on the MDB earnings, which was a nice beat, but the earnings call was bad, and that's what kind of ruined it. Near the end of the day, we did take AMD calls here because it hit our estimated weekly low. So we gave this information to you guys on Twitter, which is timestamped. You guys can see that back in our weekly analysis that we provide here. So right over here, if we check back over here, so AMD, okay, so AMD been seeing a lot of bad news lately, and the news pretty much last week, AWS service basically said that their chip is weak and they got a downgrade today, and that's why it's down. But the reason why we decided to take those 130 calls is because A, it's in the money, so it won't be time decayed. B, there's a catalyst here. Okay, you got December 12th, you got Jean Su, the end of the AMD CFO, pretty much focusing on their financial strategy and product roadmap. Okay, so this here is going to be the catalyst that could drive this play higher, and that's why we decided to take that 130 calls right at the bottom over here. So we're targeting a potential ramp up to 133 or maybe even 135. So we see that as a good opportunity to get into that. So we're buying the fear on that play right there and then. Okay, now if we go tune into other trades like coin, so coin over here, pretty much you see that it dropped near estimated weekly low, It tried to hold this level 2 bearish. So, and near the end of the day, it broke below our estimated weekly low, which suggests that it could go to 296. Okay, now guys, I have all these levels on all these stocks that you guys see here. More than 20 stocks that we did our prediction on, and they're very accurate. But if you guys want access to this information, you must tune into our mentorship program to get access. I gave it to you guys all last week here. Okay, so now if we look at the premiums moving forward, okay, so this is how we have our premiums set up here. Okay, we're looking at different strikes based on the levels that we provide here. Okay, now if you guys are looking at Nvidia, I wouldn't go anything beyond 146 because the deltas are very low. For AMD, we wanted to buy something a little closer to the money. You can see that the premiums on these puts are starting to lose value here, so that's why we decide to get calls, because it hit our estimated weekly low. We planned for this, and now these put premium sellers are kicking in and they're starting to sell that as well. We're looking at other trades as well, trying to see if there's any devaluation in coin premiums, but there exactly isn't. So coin looks like the puts are still very strong. I wouldn't want to buy calls on that. I know a lot of people are definitely considering doing that, but so far we don't see that as an opportunity. You can see that like some stocks have strong puts, some have strong calls. So definitely we got all the information there for you. So I hope you guys enjoyed this market recap. We went over a lot of things. I shared my analysis with you guys, but I want to end off with this. I think that S&P 500 tomorrow may open up in the red again. Not by a big amount. You might see STX down around 20 points. It can open around that 60-30 zone. So just be aware of that. That's where I possibly see it going. This week we have the CPI report on Wednesday and Broadcom earnings as well. If you guys want to learn more, have access to our information and our consistent trades and alerts, subscribe to the details below, and we'll see you guys in the chat. And like always, let's get that money.